honor to introduce our presenter today, Todd Klarkowski. Todd graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Platteville in 1989 with a Bachelor's of Science in Civil Engineering. Right after college, he worked in Illinois for a little while, but has been in Minnesota ever since. Todd lives in the St. Croix River Valley just north of Stillwater with his family, which includes a wife and 2 kids. His favorite hobbies are typically outdoors in woods or lakes, and those include fishing, hiking, camping, canoeing, skiing, everything. Todd's a professional civil engineer in Minnesota and has been since 1994. He has work experiences both in the private and public sectors. In Wisconsin, he worked for roadway grading and paving contractors and consultant surveyors. He's been with MnDOT since 1989 at many different offices, including project development and program delivery. He recently celebrated his 28th year at MnDOT. Todd is currently the St. Croix Crossing Project Coordinator, which includes management of all the phases of the $646 million major 2-state project. He's been there through scoping, environmental documentation, design, permitting, construction, mitigation implementation, public involvement, and community coordination. He's also managing the funding program for the crossing project's design, construction, and mitigation package, along with negotiating cost sharing and project development responsibilities between the 2 states. Please join me in welcoming Todd.
Thank you very much. Boy, good afternoon. If anybody's getting thirsty, here you go. I'm not going to stop the presentation. Just feel free. Boy, I'm here today to share a little bit of information with you on the St. Croix Crossing project, but is there anybody out in the crowd that's ever worked on the St. Croix Crossing project in your career? Look at this. Okay, so if there's any really hard questions, we're going to go to you guys, okay? There's a big group of people that has worked on delivering this project. So, for the newer people that are here today, you get a chance to work on some of these jobs, but just realize that there's a bunch of people that works over time, over many years, to move their piece forward to get to a point where you actually come and talk about a job that's open to traffic. And so it's an amazing team effort that delivers projects like this. So with that, I'd like to just get a start. Maybe Joe's going to help a little bit with the... So St. Croix Crossing project is located between the 2 states of Minnesota and Wisconsin over on the east side of Minnesota. And counties, Washington County and St. Croix County is across the river in Wisconsin. And then the towns, locally, we got communities of Stillwater, Oak Park Heights, and Bayport, Minnesota, and the little town of Holton, Wisconsin, and town of St. Joseph over in western Wisconsin. The problems, what are we out here even fixing? The problem that really started was with a congestion and a safety problem. We had daily backups on either side of the lift bridge in both Wisconsin and in Minnesota. We also had a crash problem, which is about twice of what the crash rate should be on a piece of trunk highway in both states. And then we've got this lift bridge, and out in that Stillwater lift bridge area, we've got a lift bridge that used to want to go up and down for the boat traffic, and every time it did that, that negatively affected our vehicular traffic when we're trying to use a facility. Yep. And then, but the environment, the context that this project's getting developed in is just an amazing place. If you're ever out there, you have a chance to, maybe for a younger member group or take a bike ride out on our loop trails or go visit the Stillwater area. It might be an opportunity for you. But what you're going to see is a lot of historic resources out in that area. It's tremendous, rich history from the logging era. A lot of it's based from the logging era. But you have not only the lift bridge that's listed on the National Register, you've got lumbering mill operations, you've got scenic overlooks, Club Terrace, or historic restaurant. You've got a couple of historic properties, individual buildings that are listed on the register. You got historic farmsteads over in the western Wisconsin area. So you got a lot of historic resources in this project area, the context of this project. We also have park properties too. There's some main park properties, Kohler Park and Lowell Park and Bridgeview Park, and there's these parks that we're trying to consider the uses of those parks too with developing this project. And then there's a number of just endangered, threatened and endangered plant and animal species. So you've got a lot of things like the dotted blazing star. It's a protected plant that lives in the Wisconsin ravines, and the bald eagles that actively nest in this project area. Northern and long-eared bats. We've got places where they like to hibernate. Good mussels that live in the St. Croix River. St. Croix River is the water's so clear that it supports over 40 different species of good mussels. It's a good indicator of your water quality. Wetlands, we got wetlands in both states, and then the rusty patch bumblebee. We do have that in this project area also. So those are some of the natural resources in this project area. In addition to all the historic and natural resources, we got this National Scenic Riverway. So it's a national park right in out east of the metro here. It's between the two states, and it's the St. Croix National Scenic Riverway. So it's the water plus it's the bluffs in both sides. So it's that whole envelope makes that National Scenic Riverway national park in our country. The reasons why it's so special, though, and why, like, we go to Yellowstone to visit the national parks, people come here to visit our national park, like the National Scenic Riverway. The reasons why it's so special is scenic, recreational, geologic, and water quality. Those are the things that make this place so special in our country that it's listed as a national park. So how we went at solving that congestion and safety problem is we got together with a large stakeholder group, and it included 28 members, representatives from both the federal and the state and the local agencies, but also special interest groups like Sierra Clubs and Minnesota Center for Environmental Advocacy and the Stillwater Lift Bridge Association, St. Croix River Association. And we got together with those 28 members, and we really, in 2002 we started, but by 2006 that group had met a consensus on to solve that congestion and safety problem. Yes, we need to build a new bridge about 1 mile downstream from the lift bridge, and that bridge type should be an extrados bridge type, and we'll see pictures of that extrados bridge type. And then the lift bridge itself, the old lift bridge, what should be done with that? Well, the stakeholder group recognized the importance of preserving that historic property. Keep it around. Don't just remove it. Don't just create a pier out of it, but to actually preserve that lift bridge for the future. And then this project, the stakeholder also recognized that building the bridge and keeping the lift bridge, you're going to impact the natural resources, historic resources areas. So you have to have a mitigation package to offset the impacts that those roadway and bridges have on the resources. So there's a mitigation package with this project. But really, they found the balance. That stakeholder group really found that balance and considered the social and the economic and all of our transportation issues, community issues in both states. And they found that balance, found that sweet spot. And considering all those, we had a number of definitely political issues and some bunch of technical issues. Considering those resource issues, and they found that sweet spot, that balanced solution of building that new bridge, preserving the lift bridge, creating a loop trail that connects the lift bridge with the new bridge, and that mitigation package. So that's what we ended up with. And everybody's got these graphics, I think, on your table. There's this green one that shows the layout of the project, and on the backside is the mitigation package. So what this shows is, here's the lift bridge up here, about a mile downstream to build a new bridge, improve the roadways in Minnesota, improve Highway 36, and improve Highway 95, about 3 miles worth of roadway work, and about 3 miles worth of roadway work in Wisconsin to improve that roadway system. Again, develop a mitigation, complete the mitigation package. One of those mitigation items is to make a loop trail, that 5-mile loop trail that connects the two bridges. So this is a picture of what the new river crossing bridge looks like. We were completed and opened to traffic last year, August 2nd, and this was taken like July 4th. So it's just before we had finished, we were just starting to finish our paint job last year, but this is July 4th last year. But this, I thought, was a great picture because it shows the beauty of the river valley. It shows this bridge that fits into this river valley, and it also shows, there's this lift bridge, this preserved lift bridge right in the foreground. The riverway gets used extensively by the boating community, and then we actually have balloons that are in the balloon companies that are in the valley. So that might be another outing for the group to take balloons or boats. Another picture of the St. Croix Bridge, new St. Croix Bridge. This is an extrados bridge. The idea of this extrados bridge type is that the stakeholders felt that that bridge type would fit into the river valley. It wouldn't stick out like a sore thumb, or it would be part of this river valley. This natural scenic riverway is a national park. Again, how can we fit that bridge into that river valley? And this bridge type did that. The extrados bridge has like a smaller tower height to it. It's a cables on the top, and then the deck is supported from below by 2 concrete segmental boxes. So you can kind of see that here. And the benefits of that bridge type is that you can then extend your span lengths out a little bit further. So we've got about 600 feet between our spans. What that helps is that from the riverway's perspective, it helps by lessening the impact directly on the riverway. We have less piers in the water. This is a view from underneath the new bridge on the Minnesota side. You can see those two segmental box segments that support your deck from underneath there. This is a view from above. We've got 2 lanes in each direction to accommodate our projected traffic. We've got full shoulders on the outside and inside. And then on this north side of the bridge, we have our loop trail that comes through. It's a 12-foot loop trail. Here's a view looking back into Minnesota. Same deal, 2 lanes, full shoulders, 2 lanes, full shoulders, and then a pedestrian to 12-foot loop trail. Here's our bridge at night. We do have to light our facility, but because it's in the national park, we were concerned about the amount of light spillover. So the light provides a safe transportation facility, definitely does. It shines on the roadway and the loop trail, but it doesn't spill over into the river valley. We have special heads on our lights that actually keep the light focused on the roadway and on the trail itself. And then some bridge information. The Extrados Bridge that's out over the river, it's about a mile long, and it was made up of 1,000 segments. Okay, and those segments are just pretty good size. There's a picture on the right there that shows those, but doesn't really give a good scale. Those segments were about 48 feet wide, 18 feet tall, and about 10 feet deep, and they weighed 180 tons each. And so something like that you can't just pick up and put on the back of your pickup and run it up to the bridge site. You got to actually, we had to barge them up down the Mississippi and up to St. Croix because of their scale. Let's see. Other just little bridge information type thing. We did paint the bridge, and it took 22,000 gallons of paint. And there were people out there in some spots that are really hard to get, and they used rollers on quite a bit of those. So tremendous amount of effort went into the painting of this bridge too. The color of the bridge, just note on the color of the bridge, aesthetically, we worked with a stakeholder group to come up with a visual quality manual, and the aesthetics of the bridge, the color of the bridge, textures, the intent of that is to fit the same color as the bluffs are in the river valley. Okay. We also built 3 miles worth of roadway in Minnesota, so we improved Highway 36. We worked very closely with the cities of Oak Park Heights and Stillwater and Bayport to request and obtain their municipal consent on a layout that included the at-grade signalized intersection. And we worked also very closely with Washington County too, Joe. Drink to that. We improved the at-grade signalized intersections there by adding dual left turn lanes, and we pulled back the frontage roads in areas where we could. At the intersection of Oakley and Greeley, this first intersection at Osgood, we weren't able to pull those back quite as far as we would have liked. But, so we improved the Minnesota approach, and we built stormwater ponds. We've also built noise walls on the Minnesota side. That we also built state entry and state exit signs. So we had a lot in a weigh in motion system too to check for our overweight vehicles that we might have trying to use this site. We work closely with the State Patrol to come up with a remote access system for the State Patrol that they can monitor the trucks as they come across, and then they can pull the trucks over and check their weight and force them if they are overweight. This is a view of the Minnesota interchange. Highway 36 is up and down, and across here is Highway 95. It's a new diamond interchange that we fit gently into that bluff without damaging the bluff from a visual impact perspective. But we also not only constructed the interchange itself, but we also constructed stormwater ponds to manage our stormwater. We built 16 ponds with this project in Minnesota and in Wisconsin. The intent of that was to really treat our stormwater, to take out all of our sediments that we could, and to reduce the phosphorus. For the St. Croix Valley, a big issue from that perspective is a reduction in phosphorus. How do you control and manage your phosphorus going into St. Croix? And these stormwater ponds actually improve the water quality going into the St. Croix by having these stormwater ponds there. And the idea with those stormwater ponds is that the water dumps into the first one, and it goes to the second one, the third one, and it goes out to Riverside and then goes out into the river. So it's like this treatment train effect of our water quality treatments. Here's a view looking into Wisconsin from the new bridge, the lift bridge, and then looking into Wisconsin. WSDOT built 3 miles of their roadway system. And their roadway system looks a little different. The setting over there is a little different. We had a lot of very, this is a lot more rural, isn't it? Grass and agricultural land. So a lot of different issues on that side of the project versus what we had on the Minnesota side in a very urban and urbanized environment. But on Wisconsin, they built a new diamond interchange of County Road E and their new State Trunk Highway 64. They actually put roundabouts on their ramp termini. I'm sure you guys picked up on those. As you're focusing on a few things. Here's a view from Wisconsin, just the roadway approach in Wisconsin. It's 2 lanes in each direction again. The trail on the north side, that loop trail on the north side, a view out into the river valley. You can kind of see how the Extratos Bridge, the piers are splayed back a little bit for visual effect. And then in Wisconsin, this is like a typical section over there, rural section, 12-foot lanes, the full shoulders, rural section. And then back over in Minnesota, we built welcome to state of Minnesota signs as you enter Oak Park Heights, and then an exit sign that says thank you for coming to Minnesota. So I talked a little bit about this whole idea, you build a bridge and the roadways, and you have to also do this mitigation package too. And the mitigation package is made up of some main components. One of them is this natural resource component, and really the intent is to offset the impacts that this project has on those natural resources. So, for example, this one in the lower right-hand corner, that was a large man-made coal barge unloader that used to sit out in the St. Croix River. And as one of the mitigation items for our project, we removed that barge unloader facility. Another example is an upper right with the mussels. Not only did we relocate the good mussels that we were going to be on our way, we physically relocated each one of those mussels, but then we also had protocols that would help those good mussels by not bringing any more of those bad mussels into the riverway. The zebra mussels are a species that are trying to be invasive and overtake those good mussels in the river. So we have certain protocols that we have to clean our barges and any equipment that was on the project to help to keep the habitat and keep those good mussels within the St. Croix River. And then wetlands, we've restored a number of wetlands in both states with this project after we impacted the wetlands. And then we've created a loop trail system, again, connecting the lift bridge up with the new bridge. Another example of these mitigation items is the growth management. There's concern if you build a bridge in this location, what's going to happen to the potential for growth in western Wisconsin. And we studied that as part of the environmental process, and there was concern over the growth. And so we did acknowledge that, and we recognized that there could be accelerated growth with that. Well, one of the mitigation items that we have to offset that includes things like local government planning support. That includes funding for some of the local governments in western Wisconsin to hire additional staff. And so when they do get some of these developments that come in, they have the staff that they can handle that. Green space protection is another thing, the idea of buying up some of the available green space over in western Wisconsin. And we provided funds to those communities to be able to do that. Water resource planning protection was protecting their stormwater management techniques. And then aesthetically, we've got visual quality manual is one thing that we did with this project, working with both states and all the stakeholders. So that addresses the landscaping and then the surfacing and the colors and the treatments on the bridges so that the bridges in both states match each other. The 35 bridge in Wisconsin matches with our Beach Road bridge and then fits within the Riverway bridge itself. And then some historic property mitigation items too. We've restored historic overlooks. We've relocated historic buildings. We've done field guides. We're converting the lift bridge to bike and ped use. We've provided additional parking to historic properties. And we're doing a lift bridge book right now too, a story of the lift bridge. It's going to be an amazing story to tell. Cost, just a little bit of information on costs. If you look at the whole project, the total project cost estimate, all the way from the start to the stakeholder process, designing, environmental permitting, construction, operation side, right away, $646 million is our cost top on this project. The bridge component of that is a big chunk. You see that at $383 million. And then we've got other Minnesota's about $72 million. Wisconsin approach is about $25 million. And then our mitigation package is about $44 million. Schedule-wise, we did open the Minnesota roadway in 2015. 2017, the Wisconsin side completed there. And we opened the traffic on August 2nd. This is kind of a picture that shows that grand opening that we held. Scott, you were there as part of it. And, there was a number of the governors in both states were there and elected officials. And there's about 2,000 people that attended. And on August 2nd, we cut the ribbon. And then later that night, about 8 o'clock at night, we took traffic and stopped traffic on the lift bridge and said, hey, go use this nice new river crossing bridge. And so they went down and started using the new river crossing bridge. We're still working on mitigation items to finish those up, including loop trail, building parking lots in both states, and the lift bridge. And we're doing landscaping right now to provide additional plantings, shrubs, and trees. And we're looking at a fall of 19 as the final completion date. So even though the bridge is open now and the roadways are open now, there's these other additional mitigation items or landscaping projects or loop trail projects that we're still working on. So here's share some information with you on the lift bridge conversion project. This is what it looks like now. We're out there, our contractor is working on this lift bridge to convert it to bicycle and pedestrian use. So what that'll be is that the pedestrians will be on the outside edge and the bikes will be in the middle of the lift bridge and peds on the sidewalk. But the intent is to make that lift bridge look like it did in 1931. So the color, the lights will all look like it did in 1931 when it was originally constructed. We're also out here doing landscaping in Minnesota. This shows our different landscaping plans that we've got going. We're building the green this summer, and we're just finishing up the yellow. So we put over 12,000 plants in the ground with this project. But again, the intent is, because this is in the National Scenic Riverway, the intent is to make the bluffs look like the bluffs again. You know, we came in and we did a lot of cutting and moving dirt and build roads and bridge. But our intent is to put trees and shrubs back in to visually make that look like the bluff on both sides of our facility. Yep, that's good. Okay, so the loop trail is also, and I've got, let's see, one of your handouts is also on the loop trail too, I believe. And the loop trail, the idea here is that it connects up the lift bridge with the new bridge, but then that central, that connection, that loop, it acts like kind of like a hub that all these local trails connect into. The Browns Creek Trail connects into it. County Road E on the Wisconsin is their regional trail system. We got Bayport, Oak Park, Stillwater, all these local trails connecting into this hub. So you can come out, you can live in Oak Park Heights and you can go walk the loop and come back, or you can take the loop and then come all the way up the Browns Creek Trail and go into the Gateway Trail and come all the way into St. Paul, if you'd like. So this is an amazing positive recreational amenity for this project by providing this loop trail system, but then it connects again to all these other trails. The timing of constructing this loop trail, this graphic shows that. We're done with the stuff in red. The blue is what we're building this summer. So Wisconsin DOT has trailheads that they're building in Wisconsin and parking areas. And then we're building a parking area and building this upper trail and then this little stub piece of trail here in town in Stillwater. We're working on the lift bridge too. The lift bridge won't be completed until the fall of 19. So you can see that by this fall, if you guys want to schedule some meetings out there, by this fall, you could take that almost go all the way around on that 5-mile loop trail. You just wouldn't be able to do the lift bridge until like June of 19. So, but by this fall, you'll be able to do a big chunk of this. And then, what was it?
It's a 10-mile trail.
A 10-mile, yeah. It's a long ways out and back. Yep. And then directionally too. Just a warning on this. This is pretty steep over here in Wisconsin. So depending on what type of biker you are, if you're going to go up that steep hill or go down the steep hill, it's up to you. Let's see, the loop trail, just information on the loop trail in Minnesota. We built it's a 10-foot wide loop trail, bikes and peds. And then we have these interpretive panels off to the side that show, share information. This one's about the Hersey Bean lumber mill that was there from 1850 to 1900. This summer we're building, in Minnesota, we're building a parking lot. Like I mentioned, here's a picture of us constructing the parking lot. And that was last week. And now this week we've already paved that parking lot. That parking lot's going to be open by Memorial Day. So if you're out there this Memorial Day, come on out and enjoy the facility and you'll be able to park there. We're going to have put our stripes down next week and we'll be good to go. The Loop Trail project in Minnesota also includes storm sewer work and bituminous pavement. and pipe railings, decorative pipe railings that protect the bikers and the walkers from falling off the trail on some of the steeper drop-off areas where we have archaeologists, That's a hard word to say. Somebody say that. Maybe I should start. Maybe I need it for your. So this is a picture that shows what this area looked like in 1874. Okay, there used to be this thing called the Hersey Bean Lumber Mill operation, and right now we're out there today building our loop trail right where that train was. Okay, that's where our upper trail is, and then our lower trail is down here where that lower train was. It's an archaeological site right now, and so we're out there. Then this story on the Hersey Bean, just a quick story on the Hersey Bean. There are two guys that started up a lumber mill in town here, but they wanted to be steam powered instead of being water powered, like a water wheel to run their lumber mill. They wanted to be steam powered, so they brought in steam, big steam engines, and then they brought in a multiple saw blade system called a gang saw. So an idea there was that they could just push the log through once and it would cut it up into multiple boards. Instead, for those other guys that were running by water, they had to run the log through and then pull it back, slide the log over, and run it through again. And so these guys were the new technology in town. These guys were the cutting edge for lumbering operations. But they ran steam engines and gang saws was their biggie. So we're out there today building our upper loop trail. And the next picture, please. Here's what we found. We knew that was an archaeological site. We knew about where the different walls from that Hersey Bean lumber mill were. Generally from some of the old maps, but some of the old documentation just isn't accurate all the time. But it generally would show you where they were. Well, we're out there putting our storm sewer line in, right? Guess where the storm sewer's got to go? Right over the top of that wall of the Hersey Bean lumber mill. So we unearthed that wall. That was last week. And hit it, and it's like, okay, once we hit it, we have an archaeologist on site, on the construction site. And anytime we're digging a hole, she's there. Michelle Terrell is her name, and so they hit, and they said, okay, hold it, stop. We got to look, see what it is, and then started digging out slowly around it by hand, and we unearthed that part of the Hersey Bean lumber mill. And then we had a number of meetings with our State Historic Preservation Office and a number of our cultural resource representatives at MnDOT. And what the solution there is that we'll try to realign our stormwater pipe to go around this as best we can, but there's some places that we aren't going to be able to do that, and that we're going to have to take off maybe the top 3 feet of that wall, but there's a 10-foot high wall, so we'll have to take off the top 3 feet of that wall. And that has been concurred with as far as that approach and that mitigation plan from the State Historic Preservation Office. We just got that concurrence actually just yesterday, and so now they're out there today getting ready to do that out on the site. But here's other examples of it. This is the wall of the Hersey Bean lumber mill. Here's the wall. So as you guys are riding on this loop trail in the future, you'll be able to tell the story of how this was built. Yes, sir.
So you'll be able to leave that wall exposed so that as you're riding the trail, you'll be able to see it.
Yeah. Go back. We won't be able to see that because these pipes will be down here, and then we're going to backfill that and then build our trail on top of that. Yep. But we are trying to, document. So we're doing 3D scans of those walls right now and photo documenting them, so that if someone in the future wants to find these walls, which we're leaving most of those, if they want to find them, we'll have that information available for them to find. Then we have an animation. I've had an animation of the upper loop trail. And so that upper loop trail is like this portion in Minnesota, this blue portion right here. This is what we're building this summer. There's our parking lot. Just coming up to a parking lot. It's going to be about a 25 stall car parking lot. And then it'll go to, here's what it'll look like as you're driving through that upper loop trail. So you have a 10-foot wide. There's our storm sewer system. And then on the right, you'll start seeing introduced the pipe rail, a decorative pipe rail to keep you on the trail so you don't fall over the edge of those remnants of the Hersey Bean lumber mill, because we want to keep you on the trail. And then here you're coming up into town. and you're coming up into the 2 historic properties that we picked up and moved, relocated. There's another mitigation item that we moved from Oak Park Heights up to Stillwater. And then this is a picture of the lower trail. And the lower trail is a lot more, it's down near the water. It's much more quiet. It's a really nice walk down through there. And then here, you kind of see it's right next to the rivers on your right. It's a real nice walk down through. In Wisconsin, they built their loop trail system, and they built their loop trail system basically adjacent to their new roadway facility. Wisconsin's also building this trailhead near their County Road E interchange. So it'll be restrooms, it'll be picnic tables, it'll be parking lots, but you'll be able to stop there, have picnics or rest, and then jump on the trail, and jump on the loop trail and go out to the loop trail and go around. This is another piece of loop trail that Wisconsin's building from the lift bridge up the hill. That's what that shows. Then I got a couple animations to show the lift bridge. This is what the lift bridge is going to look like as a bike and ped facility. Again, the intent is to make it look like it did in 1931. And then this animation is on the new bridge. It's on the loop trail on the new bridge. So you can see, you come out, take a deep breath here as you go over the edge here. And then we have lookout platforms on every other pier. There's that one, there's one in the middle, and there's one on the Minnesota side. But those lookout platforms are areas where you can stop off the loop trail and just rest for a second. And we have interpretive panels out there that tell the story of the river, or tell the story of the natural resources, or tell the story of how we built the bridge, or it tells the story of the stakeholder process too. So you can see as you're walking on a trail, you'll be able to bump out around these lookouts. The lift bridge, you'll have bikes in the middle and pedestrians on the outside, and then pedestrians on that south sidewalk. And our lift bridge will be ADA compliant, so we'll have our sidewalks, some of our sidewalks that visually, hearing impaired, we have those issues addressed also with this lift bridge conversion project. Okay. So as far as project information, we have a bunch of websites that if you just go to MnDOT's website and search on St. Croix Crossing Project, it'll take you to our website. With that, I know I don't want to hold anybody up too much. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, yes, we did get, you're right, we did get that question about where do I park? I just want to go out and walk on the bridge, or just want to go out and walk on the loop trail, where do I park? And could you go back to maybe one of these slide deals? On your handout is what I'm trying to find here, so maybe a couple. But we've tried to address that by adding parking lots. So Minnesota is building a parking lot this summer, and Wisconsin's building this parking lot with a trailhead this summer also. So, because like last year when we opened the bridge, last fall we opened the bridge, and we didn't have this parking lot here, and we didn't have this parking lot up here. And so since that point in time, in August 2nd, when we opened it up, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of people out here, we've constructed a couple parking lots. We're building a couple more this summer, and we think that it will accommodate the needs as we can see so far. But we do expect that a lot of use of this loop trail. There'll be a lot of use just because this loop trail is like a hub, but then it also connects up to Browns Creek Trail, and then this one connects up to Gateway Trail. And Gateway is kind of wobbling back and forth between the busiest trail in the state of Minnesota, or a piece of this thing is the busiest trail in the state of Minnesota. So we're going to get a lot of users, trail users on this loop trail. Yes, sir.
Thanks for the presentation. I was in Stillwater this weekend, and I was kind of surprised that there wasn't a lot of activity going on. In fact, there was some closures of various what used to be restaurants and bars. Is there going to be an economic assessment done of, comparing before and after what the economic changes have been in Stillwater?
Yes. Yeah, when you're driving through there was MnDOT's construction on the lift bridge, but then there's a construction of new hotels going in on the north end of Stillwater, and Main Street was closed. And that's a local community project that's closing 95, but yes, MnDOT's out there in the area, but that's not a MnDOT project that's closed 95 right now and detoured you around there. So But then as far as the economic impacts, yes, we did study that. As part of the stakeholder EIS process, we studied the economic impacts, and what the study showed, real quickly, but it's pretty intensive, but what that study showed is that there's benefits. By us getting that congestion and safety problem out of Stillwater and out of the town of Holton, that's an improvement. That's an economic benefit. It allows people to come into Stillwater, for example, because Stillwater is a destination with those businesses and those shops that are down there. So it becomes an economic benefit. So that's what our economic impact analysis showed. And we actually have had some verification of those studies. You always want to do a study, but then you always want to verify kind of in reality what's really happening, compare the two, And what we did was the Chamber of Commerce did a survey of the businesses when the lift bridge was closed to flooding. It floods out in the riverway every spring in the middle of summer. And during one of those floods, the chamber asked their businesses, well, how was business before and after the flood, when there was traffic and there wasn't traffic, and compared to how it is now? And they said that their business actually improved with after our construction of this new river crossing bridge. So that was a good comparison to our economic impact analysis that said it would be a benefit. That's a good question.
I think just one more.
One more, I guess we're allowed, and then we got to go to that.
We're good.
We're going to go first. Oh, yeah, we got one.
No.
Yes, we
It's part of the project.
What's my favorite part of the project? Networking with all the people that I get to work with. It was an amazing job that I had to work, chance to work. Everybody that raised their hand, we had the chance to work with a lot of different people along the way. I think that's a great thing with this project. Try to find that balance working together. So I think that's really the main reason.
Well, thanks so much, Todd, for coming out.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
And then, yes. We're going to go into the lake name, fake name game.
Yeah, so everybody, let's get out our phones, any type of device that you can connect to the internet with, and I'm gonna have Courtney come up and help administer our homegrown game here for the annual meeting. The other thing I'll say is it would be advantageous to not be on Gastoff's Wi-Fi if you can be on like your cell network or some other type of network. That'd be preferred, but I don't know if it's required. So.
All right, so everyone on your smartphone, if you would like to play for free entry to the ITE conference, it'll be here in August, you're going to go to kahoot.it. So it's KAHOOT.it.
So are you going to pull that up on the screen? Or?
Yeah, well, once they start joining, they only have 15 seconds. All right, KA.
So right up there, KAHOOT.it. Don't put your pin in yet.
Yeah, don't put the pin in yet. All right, is everyone there that wants to play? Okay, so what it's going to do is once you put the game pin in, it'll get us started, and it wants you to look on the screen and determine which is the lake name and which is the big name. There'll be 2 options for every question. You're going to be the score is based on speed and accuracy. So you want to be right number 1. You also want to be fast.
And it will be either on the left side
Or the right side. Yeah. Can everybody see the whole screen right now? Should we move the projector over just a little bit? Oh, this way. Okay. Well, it's bigger. It should work. All right. Is everyone ready? And on the game screen where you can enter your PIN? Yes? All right. Then just start entering the PIN. It'll ask you to start entering your nicknames. Please use your real name.
Yes. Keeps resetting.
You want to make it full screen?
Get started.
Yep.
Ready?
2, 1, go.
All right, we're live, guys.
Are you still trying to find it?
So,
Yes.
Okay, okay, thanks, Steve.
Okay.
We'll play a second game if you guys missed out the first time around. I'm probably not. Courtney, you want to switch to that?
I gotta do it one more.
I don't know.
It's with you, right?
Did you click out of your job?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm going back.
I'm starting over because some people weren't ready.
All right. If you miss it this time, there'll be another game.
So where do you start?
.it, yeah, we're gonna start again.
Kazoo.it.
So get to where it says enter the game pin.
All the way to the
Yep, all the way to the first
Let's go
screen
back
where
to
it says
Kazoo.
enter your game pin.
Okay, we got to start over because
All
we're
right,
not
so this
already
is the screen you should see. Oh.
There we go.
All right, now
So
enter the
will
game
be
pin.
a new game pin. So it will be a new game pin now.
No, but he said there's a new game.
Yes, so it's right up there. 406.
But don't hit enter.
Oh, we can do engineering. We can play a electronic
can
game.
play a
Right,
game.
guys? Come on.
It's for elementary school. Yes. Mind you. All right.
Lights in.
All right, it's gonna start playing in 10 seconds.
Yep, keeps resetting as people try. Okay, there, oh, back.
What happened there?
Stop touching it.
I know, I'm going back to full
It'll
screen.
play on its own. Stop touching it.
It's going.
It's going.
Here we go.
All right.
All right, here it comes.
So pick the lightning.
What the, what?
What does it mean? There we go.
It don't matter if you get a break, right?
50%. Ooh, Darren.
You were too fast.
Yeah. Darren.
Tear it up. Let's give him a free membership.
Yes.
Yes.
Going right next to us.
Hey, Sarah's taking the lead.
All right.
Sarah's still.
So heavy.
Yeah.
No.
No chance here.
No, there's no John Deere.
Sarah, the only one that's got them all.
I got like one.
What I'm going with.
They're both fake.
Oh. Oscar. Oscar can't win.
Cruise got deep. Hope the intern wins. Come on, Sarah, kick his butt. That's it.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
No.
That comes down to the last question.
Who's gonna win this?
Last one.
John Mock. All right, we got the final winner.
Yep, that's me.
I didn't touch any.
No, we're done. You can turn it off. That's it.
Yeah. Where do I save that?
Yeah.
Okay, done.
Cheers, everybody. That's it. So let's grab some barley waters, huh?
Appetizers will be coming out soon too.
So,